Hey everybody, another GMG review. Today we're taking a look at Warhammer Underworlds Wyrdhollow, the Headsman's Curse. This is a new, I would say, big guy warband with the Universal Rivals deck ready to rip and play for Warhammer Underworlds. And I might be more excited about this than I have been about a Underworlds faction in a while, as this is just a cool aggro warband. Their cards are all revolving around murdering, and their plot basically allows them to accrue tokens, and the tokens can be traded in for most of your victory conditions as well as buffs on the models. We have 4 models in the box. I've already put them together. We have the Bearer of the Blade, which is like, there's no characters in this warband. It's just this sword is the character, and everybody's basically doing its bidding. This is the guy who's basically telling you what crimes he did. I can't remember his name. The Bearer of the Block. So this guy carries around the Executioner's block that you chop a head off with, and this guy's the King Sharpener. He sharpens the blade. This is the first warband, I think, that by the second action can kill almost any model in the game. They have a bananas bunch of stat lines. Let's talk about the plot first. The plot has 3 conditions. You have to show it to your opponent when you declare your warband. If you're using the Headsman's Curse, you have a waiting execution. If a fighter with a condemned counter would be given a condemned counter, then the additional one's removed, so you only ever have 1 condemned counter. Justice is served when an enemy fighter with a condemned counter is taken out of action, gain a condemned counter. So basically, if you call someone out, say they're condemned, then kill them, you get to keep that counter into your counter pile. And then well executed, after a friendly fighter's attack action takes out an adjacent target out of action, gain a condemned counter for each of the additional following conditions that's true. It was supported or it was a large fighter. So not only do you get them for condemning someone then killing somebody, but if you do it tag teaming, and then also if you do it and they're large, you get a bonus condemned counter because you're taking out basically bigger targets. You've got a full, obviously, Rivals deck here. You have the Wielder of the Blade. So this guy Inspired is 4 move, 2 dodge, 5 damage. Like, he's a big guy because it's the sword you're trying to kill. And then Terminus, the sword, is blade bound, 2 looking for hammers, 3 damage base. But by the second action, you can be doing 4 damage with it. Blade bound reaction. After this action takes a target out of action, place a friendly fighter that's out of action in a hex adjacent to this fighter. Then give that fighter 1 raise counter and 1 wound counter. So raise counters, again, can be traded in for victory conditions, and they come back wounded, but you have a resurgence. As long as this guy's alive and killing people, these guys are expendable because they can come back. Inspired, he gains an additional move, 4 damage base, and still blade bound. So he hits like a ton of bricks. He just needs dice support. The scripter of the sentence, he's a chain rasp, 4 move, 1 dodge, 3 health. He can condemn for 2, you give him a condemn counter. So if he attacks with his range 3 attack and hits you, he does a damage, but then you also get a condemn counter. His inspire condition is after a power step, you have 3 or more condemn counters. So it's the same for all of them. So if you condemn 1 model and it's large and then you kill it supported, everyone inspires. Inspired, he gains a dodge, and then he also gains stagger on his attack. Bearer of the Block, he's got 2 attacks, 1 range, 2 hammers, 2 damage. And then range 1 or 2 attack actions made by this fighter, supported by this fighter, have cleave. So he gives you cleave if he's supporting. And enemy fighters adjacent to this fighter cannot be on guard. He cancels guard too. Inspired, he gains a dodge, and he goes to 3 damage. So he's also super dangerous. And then the Sharpener of the Blade, this guy is the one that is essential and why you want to have deployment spots with 2 guys next to each other. He has an action, Wet the Blade. Give this fighter or a friendly adjacent wielder of the blade a wetted counter. +1 damage to your next successful range 1 attack action for each fighter's wetted counter, and then remove the wetted counter. For each wetted counter. So this guy can do it end of turn and then start the next activation, get initiative, and have damage 4 or 5 on the Bearer of the Blade. Super dangerous. His blade's 1 range, 2 swords, looking for 1, and he's only got 2 health and 2 dodge. But again, he's your support piece extraordinaire. He gets Grievous 1 on his blade and 3 dice when he inspires us, and that's basically it. So 3 very cool characters. Objectives, all rise. Hybrid, score this in end phase if 2 or more friendly fighters have 1 or more raise counters, so if 2 guys have come back because you've killed 2 people. Or 1 or more enemy fighters are out of action, and 1 or more friendly fighters each have 1 or more raise counters. So kill someone and have somebody back. It's worth 2. And it's just giving you glory for the things you want to try and do anyway. Basket of Bonces, I love this one. It's just a bag of heads. Score an end phase of 2 or more enemy fighters out of action. Bound in Servitude, Surge Hybrid. Scores immediately after a friendly Chain Grasp's attack action takes enemy fighter out of action. Or a friendly fighter's attack action takes an enemy fighter out of action and 1 or more friendly Chain Grasps supported it. So again, if you're doing what you want to do, which is have the Sharpener supported so you can get those bonus condemn counters, then you're going to get this one as well. Eager Assistant, Surge, score this immediately after the second or subsequent supported attack action made by a friendly fighter in the same phase. So again, feeds into the same thing. Gather a Crowd, score this immediately after an activation if there are 3 or more friendly fighters or within 2x of the same enemy fighter. So like, are you ganging up on people like you're supposed to be? Heads will roll, score this immediately after you gain a 3rd or subsequent condemn counter. So if you've inspired, you get a glory basically. Judge lest ye be judged. Score this in end phase if each surviving friendly fighter has 1 or more move tokens or charge tokens. Easy early one. I love this, just people with their heads cut off. Off with their heads. Score this immediately after a friendly leader attack action takes an enemy fighter out of action, and he's going to be doing most of your fighting. Gain an additional glory point if it was the enemy leader, so you get 2 if you kill the leader with your leader. Quick to Judge, it's Surge Duel. Score immediately after there's a surviving friendly leader and 2 or more friendly fighters, enemy fighters, each have a condemn counter. So if you're still alive and you've condemned 2 people. A good second turn one, because you can condemn turn 1 and then condemn turn 2 with the same action. Or you can even get turn 1 potentially if the scripter can do it twice. Savoring the Inevitable, duel, score an end phase of a friendly fighter is adjacent to 1 or more enemy fighters. And 1 or more of those enemy fighters each have 1 or more wound or condemned counters. So just hurt people, basically. Like, all of these score off things you want to do anyway. Triumph of Death, duel, score an end phase if there are 1 or fewer surviving enemy fighters and there are 2 or more surviving friendly fighters for 3. Just, if you've killed all the people you want to kill, if you go up against a Stormcast warband or any 3 model like Wound Count warband, you are going to ruckus them. And then Tools of Death, score an end phase if 3 or more surviving friendly fighters have 1 or more upgrades. So like Curse These Relics be, Evil Trial to See, Pick Up Not the Sword, or Trap You'll Be forevermore, because the sword is bad. And then the condemned subforwards are power cards, basically, are all about handing out condemn counters, like pushing people, choose a friendly fighter, push the token at 1 hex after the push, they have to be adjacent to somebody. This one's Damning Screen, choose an enemy fighter within 2x of a friendly scripter of the sentence, stagger the chosen fighter and give them a condemn counter. And they're like just gambits that hand this stuff out. Helping Hands, the first attack action made by a friendly fighter in this next activation, the attacker is considered to be supported by 1 additional friendly fighter. So you get that extra condemn counter, basically, with this gambit. Hold Them Still. Play this after a friendly fighter's move action. If they're adjacent to 1 or more enemy fighters, choose another friendly fighter. The chosen fighter can make a move action. And then after that, so basically, Hold Them Still. You get to move a guy in to support. Just in case, choose a friendly fighter, push the chosen fighter 1 hex towards the nearest enemy fighter with 1 or more wound or condemn counters. Like, you just gang up on people and beat them up. Roaming Witness, choose a Chain Rasp, remove the chosen fighter from the battlefield and place some fighter on an edge hex. Then give the chosen fighter a charge token. If that fighter is adjacent to 1 or more enemy fighters, then they each get a condemn counter, so hug the edges and just give them all condemn counters. Scapegoat, choose an enemy fighter. Chosen fighter has a wound characteristic of 5 unless it would be higher. This effect persists until the end of the round. So you raise their wounds to 5 if you've got a 5 damage guy and then walk up and kill him for the extra condemned counter. Unseemly Haste, +2 move to friendly fighters in the next activation. You cannot reroll attack dice in friendly fighters' attack rolls in the next activation. So basically you get to go faster, but you can't reroll your dice. And then You Must Serve. Place a friendly Chain Rasp out of action and a starting hex in your territory. Give that fighter 1 raise counter. Then if there's 4 surviving friendly fighters, give that fighter wound counters until they're vulnerable. So basically you bring back the guy who's sharpening your stone for a gambit. You've also got like some pretty badass upgrades. Cackling Nightmare, reaction after an activation step in which this fighter makes 1 or more range 3+ attack actions. They make a range 3+ attack action. So that's double giving out condemns basically for your scripter. Every turn. Enemy is Chilling Grasp. Enemy fighters adjacent to this fighter cannot make move actions. Just hold still. Like that one. Just hold still while I kill you. Deaf to Mercy. You have Ensnare. So you just gain Ensnare because you already have Cleave from having someone next to you. Enduring Executor. +1 wounds. Little can slay Terminus. Ethereal Immunity. Rolls of double success or successes in your defense rolls just automatically. So you get 3-4 success states. Guided Blows, you can reroll 1 attack dice in this fighter's attack rolls. Heavy duty, +1 damage to your range 1 and 2 attack actions. Job satisfaction. Reaction after an activation step in which this fighter made 1 or more attack actions, give them a guard token. So you just go on guard after you attack, even if you charged. And then lurking crony, make a friendly fighter adjacent to this fighter makes an attack action. This fighter supports that fighter. And then swift judgment, +1 move. Reaction, use this fighter's move action. If this fighter moved through 1 or more hexes that contain an enemy fighter, choose one of those hexes and give them a condemn counter and break this card, because you just get to fly through someone and condemn them. So man, oh man, it is a very straightforward deck. It is super aggro. It's all about killing. It has all the tools to add out your conditions early on so that you can get scoring fast. It has a bunch of cards that are good for scoring turn 1 and turn 2. And the models are really sweet, and it's got a lot of forgiving stats too, right? Because your core guys are like decently statted to not instantly die. Like the Headsman himself or the Bear of the Blade, having 5 wounds, potentially 6 wounds. And then your Gambit cards, of course, basically allowing you to get the conditions you need when you need them, and your upgrades making, I mean, you can stack most of them on the bearer and he's going to become damn near unstoppable. But you have the ability, without any upgrades, to just push this guy's damage into the Stone Age, or into the, like, yeah, into the roof and start murdering people. So I'm really excited about this one. It's simple and straightforward. I was able to pick up what it was trying to do really early on, and the models are just great. Like, I love that they're just, all of these guys are the ghosts of the last people this sword killed, and they're permanently enslaved to him, and they just, like, they don't need names, because they're just the roles that this sword undertakes as it executes people. So I'm pumped to paint them. They're my little fantasy side painting project, and we'll show them in some games coming up soon. So big thanks for watching. Thanks, Ash. Now we're gaming.
Hey there, I hope you enjoyed that video. There are tons of other games already recorded for you to watch. Click over to my channel page if you haven't already, and have a look through the dozens of playlists full of videos. I guarantee you'll discover a game you haven't seen played before. I put out new videos 7 days a week, and every day is themed to a different genre as I continue to explore the wider world of gaming. Of course, none of that's possible without you, the viewer, so click a like and subscribe if you'd like to stay on top of what's happening here daily. My 2 kids and I are massively grateful to be able to have the flexibility of this job so I can always maximize my time with them. If you want to support me continuing to put out this content, it's only possible because of my amazing backers on Patreon who support the studio, equipment, and model cost, as well as being how I make the bulk of my living. You can also help out by buying a t-shirt through Spreadshirt, a measuring gauge or widget from Death Ray Designs, or buying one of my games and supplements like Last Days, Gamma Wolves, and Blaster. As a way of showing my appreciation, patrons get early access to new games and supplements that I write throughout the course of the year. Huge thanks for watching, it really does help out, and happy gaming.